You do this right and get us the answers we need. No one will ever question who you are ever again.
Congrats on 0 Day. I have to say this show gave me chills. I was at the edge of my seat. There are so many intense moments. It feels like something ripped from the headlines, what we see every day, what we're living through every day. I'm wondering, were there any moments during filming for you that felt so close to real life that it just kind of gave you chills and you were like, kind of like, this is so meta, like this is so insane?
Yeah, there were actually, like, there have been so many since we wrapped as well. But I guess the best example of that would be like people thinking that Robert De Niro shooting scenes from the show was just Robert De Niro on the street giving these rousing speeches to people. And then there was he as himself, as he really did give a speech that had nothing to do with the show, and people thought that was part of the show. So yes, it was a lot of like art imitating life, imitating art.
Yeah, I remember reading that headline. It was something that I was like, what is this? And I was like, it's the show. It's for the show. So it makes sense. Very eerie.
Yes.
We can get into spoilers. And so I want to talk to you about, the fact that I learned something yesterday that you said you were not on social media. And I was like, it can't be. And I saw you're not on Instagram or Twitter. And good thing you're not on Twitter or whatever it's called nowadays. But
Yeah.
Given how central it is to modern political discourse and misinformation, did working on this show give you a different perspective on the influence of what social media does today?
No, I thought it was terrible before. I think it's terrible now.
You're right.
Yeah, I don't. It's very odd. I think people are really attached to it. I think that for many, many professions, it is now a mandatory component. It's not for my job, so I opt out. And honestly, I don't even see it as some like big political statement. I think that if people really did opt out, they'd see like, oh, you're not actually missing that much by not being on it. You can still waste a lot of time. Like, trust me, I still waste a lot of time without being on TikTok.
It's true. You've said also working with Robert De Niro felt like sparring, and there's an intense scene in the finale where you two go head to head, and it was so well done. And it's like this heated argument between dad and daughter. Did that scene require multiple takes because you were both exploring maybe different ways to play that moment? It's very well done.
Yes, we shot that scene for an entire day. So whatever, 12 hours. It was a very long day, a very exhausting day. But yes, we were messing around with different things while we were shooting it, which was great. I haven't seen that episode, so I'm very, very, very pleased to hear that it cut together. And yeah, it was sort of, for me, it was an exercise in just kind of trying to maintain that level of intensity for that many hours, while also not losing sight of the fact that it was really fucking cool to be doing this with Robert De Niro.
Yeah. Like having that now on your resume, like you were his daughter in a movie. I'm in a TV show. How amazing is that to tell people? You can tell them at Christmas and Thanksgiving, and
totally. I'm going to dine out on that forever. Trust me.
Yeah, for sure. I do love the relationship you had with Jesse Plemons' character. Again, we can get into spoilers about it. He does have a rather tragic ending, and I like the dynamic between the two, and especially the fact that I feel like your character turned after what happens to him. If you could add maybe one more scene between the pair, what would you want to explore? Because I did love that dynamic. I thought the two of them, the fact that they grew up together, they came into this, one by one to, by themselves. I thought it was just something that I feel like there was more to explore.
Definitely. I would do 100 more scenes between Roger and Alex. That was a real priority for Jesse and myself to try to enrich those scenes with as much history, shared trauma as we possibly could, because they really don't have that many scenes together. There's just not a lot of real estate to try to convey how deep their history is and how enmeshed they are. And so I would honestly do 100 more scenes just to further explore it. I love their relationship. I love that there are these two immensely broken people who cling to each other in the face of everything, even if that's not necessarily the wisest thing.
No. And, something I learned about the show was that you worked with Lesli on Masters of Sex, which was like one of my favorite shows.
Nice.
Yeah. Was there a specific aspect of her directing style that you maybe got to see enhanced and it influenced your performance on this show?
Yes, she's truly one of my all-time favorite people to work with. I'm so happy that I got to do this show with her for an extended period of time, because it definitely felt like not enough. Way back when in Masters of Sex, she only did one episode before going on to do Homeland. But I do remember something she did back then that she did here as well, which is every day for every character in every scene, she walks you through what just happened, what's going to happen next, where you are in your individual trajectory. For Masters of Sex, I mean, it was just one episode. We were just shooting one episode. So that just felt kind of like a fun kindness. But for Zero Day, because she directed all of them and everything was broken up into just like location shooting, basically, we were shooting scenes from every single episode every single day. And it's so dense that having somebody there, I mean, the director who can go to each character and say, this is where you're coming from. This is what just happened. This hasn't happened yet. And she would do it for all of us, like truly for every scene, with a smile on her face and perfectly applied red lipstick. So she's a goddess in my mind.
Yeah, she is a goddess. And this was a great show she directed. And, I guess I'm going to have to wrap up, but I wanted to know if maybe we would see a season 2, because I feel like there's still a bit more story to tell, especially with Alex, especially with George, seeing where that goes. I would love to know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, this was never presented to me as something that might have a season 2. So I would be very surprised if there was a season 2 and, leave them wanting more.
Yeah, for sure. No, this weekend is going to be a big one for Netflix, and I think viewers are going to love it. So, Lizzy, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.